Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. And joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
An experience like no other.
Oh God, don't you?
Yeah, you are.
Don't you start. Your co-host, Hunter.
Here for a limited time only, while supplies last.
Oh, no. And your co-host...
In 3D.
In 3D.
In VR. And your co-host, Spaz.
Procedurally generated.
Wow. God, I wonder what he's going to look like next time.
Oh, I don't know. So, hello, everyone. We do not have a guest this week. I've been sending out feelers to get guests, but I just haven't been able to confirm anybody lately. So, I'll just keep, sending out.
I don't know if people want to be felt, Brian. Like, that's
Well, not right now. Maybe when COVID ends, we can go back to that. But
there.
So we have a topic.
Brian sends you a hug. Come on show.
Yes, I will send you virtual hugs. We have a topic show tonight, and it was Hunter who came up with the topic. With the topic title, "Do we want shiny graphics?" So Hunter, why don't you take the ball here and tell us? You said you had a rant prepared, so I would like to hear this.
Well, okay. So there was some community discussion that kind of prompted a lot of this, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and so there's kind of like a sub layer question to the title of the show, and it's, as gamers, are our expectations too high, or is it that we've had better experiences in the past and we expect at least a minimum of our previous experience? So, graphics can make things, more immersive. They can make things, more entertaining, but they can also make things like fun and funny. Like, I take, like Fortnite, for example. It's a competitive shooter game, but it's all like cartoony, right? Or you look at something like Among Us, which has become super popular, and it's it's a pixel, isomorphic or whatever they call it, top down, kind of gameplay, and it's taken off by storm, and people really love it, right? And so in that case, graphics, we don't need Unreal, Unity level amazing, ridiculous. Look at all the voxels and look how the light is cast through the grass, like that kind of crap isn't necessary in order for the gameplay and the content of the gameplay to be fun, right? So there's a level there, that I'm thinking about. And so someone made mention once to me about how, like, 90s gamers expect too much, and I was like, I don't know how that can be a statement when you look at development of a game back then with limited technology, limited ability compared to today. And yet those games, not all of them, there's definitely a lot of crap that came out in the 90s too. But when you look at like a lot of the ones that, right. Well, when you look at the ones that are the most memorable, right? When you look at things like Half-Life, okay?
Yeah, things that people are still playing.
Right. Or like, or something that was built then that built a huge legacy today, right? Not like a spiritual successor, but stuff that, like, people are still playing Team Fortress 2, for crying out loud. Like, that blows my mind.
That's
right?
An ugly game. What was it? That's an ugly game.
I mean, it's gotten better, but like when you look at it compared to, like, what was it in 2016 or 2017? It was still one of the top 5 games that was still being played on Steam. Like, that's obnoxious. So like, when I'm thinking about this thing, I want to take a deep dive into Squadrons, and I want to preface this 100% by saying this: people are allowed to like what they like or not like what they like, right? So if people like Squadrons, great. Go have fun, enjoy Squadrons. If you don't like it, I understand. You don't have to like it either. But I want to look at it objectively when you compare it to what we've had before, right? like when you look at something like Space Engineers or Empyrean, right? People can like one or the other game or both games or whatever it is. When you look at things objectively, from quality of content to technologies being used to the things that you can do within the game that the game allows you to do comparatively, objectively, you're going to see one that has more to offer than another, right? That's not to say that one is better than the other, but one is objectively got more going on or is more better. Like more better, more not more better, but you know what I mean. So like you look at something like Squadrons and you have something like X-Wing Alliance, which is just like, let's just start there. Right? X-Wing Alliance came out in what, 1999? So we're just over 2 decades old, right? It's over 20 years old now. And the game is still being played, still being modded, still being bought on GOG or Steam, right? Like they've digitally put these games out so people can still play them. And people are still modding them and still playing them. There's tons of communities out there that are still doing things with these games to this day, right? You look at something like classic Battlefront 2. That game is still being sold, still being played, still being modified, still has communities that are making that game last well beyond a traditional lifestyle of what you see in a game today, right? Now, that's not to say that these new games aren't fun. I bought Battlefront 2, the new version, and had a blast playing through the campaign. But here's the thing, though. The campaign kept reminding me of better games that I've played in the past, right? Anytime I was playing like a Luke Skywalker level, I wanted to be playing Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy. Anytime I was flying through space, I wanted to be playing TIE Fighter or Rogue Squadron. Now, granted, graphically, these games look and smell and breathe amazing. Like, you just like, this feels like Star Wars. It looks so cool. But at the end of the day, it's a theme park ride, right? You're allowed to like it. You can enjoy. I love going to the theme park, right? Like, theme park rides are fun, pre-COVID. But like, but like when you look at it objectively, when I think to myself, I play Squadrons, I spent $40 on this thing, and what did I get? 14 scripted missions, right? Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like it's to give you this movie-like experience and to kind of teach you a little bit of the mechanics of the controllers, which are kind of screwed up. And then you play in 2 different online modes, be it dogfighting or the fleet battles, and then you're kind of like, that's it. And you can cycle through all of that all you want. At the end of the day, there's not much left to it. There's not much left going on. They
did spend a tremendous amount of their budget on animated characters and voice styles.
Yeah, so there was actually a guy.
Oh my god!
So there was a guy here in the community who used to work for EA and actually talked about that a little bit and was talking about how they probably could have cut about 80% of their budget and put it more towards these other things. Which again is not to say that those animations and those things aren't enjoyable, but I mean, you look at like the quality of stuff that you've got.
It doesn't actually give
impact
replayability or value to the product, because I really don't care. And nothing about talking to those people. Okay, in the original TIE Fighter, when you could talk to the briefing guy, right? And you just got the briefing. But then there was the guy from the Order of the Emperor, and you could talk to him, and he told you the secret objectives.
Go inspect something.
So there was a reason to talk to that dude. But it wasn't just like, I got like 5 people standing around out in the hangar and I can just bullshit with them and hey, what's the news today on Endor? When I
was playing it, I looked around. I was in the briefing room and I looked around, and there's the whole briefing room, and there are people over there and they're doing whatever and they're actually moving. And I'm like, why do we have all this? I mean, I guess VR, but it's like they could have just made this a simple menu.
Well, even in VR though, you're not moving around.
No, you're just looking around. You're just looking around, and that's it. And they could have gotten rid of so much of that and made they could have invested that in making the missions co-op in the campaign, for example, or adding another mode. I think like that's exactly
Sure. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's just like when you look at something like X-Wing Alliance, and there's a great comment in the chat right now that talked about like at the time.
Oh,
We just lost your audio, Hunter.
Hunter? Uh-oh. Hunter. Oh no. This is not usual. The joys of doing it live, my friends.
Well, I'll jump in and continue on with the comment from the chat. It's that graphics get people interested and gameplay keeps them playing longer, which is fair.
I really hate this crap sometimes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you now.
Jeebus. All right. So anyway, my audio thing just went to like complete crap, and I was like in the middle of my backswing. All right. Spaz gets that.
I do.
So anyway, like I was saying, so there's a great comment. Chatham's made a really great comment in the thing talking about at the time when like TF2 and some of these other games came out, those were cutting edge things. Those were cutting edge graphics, but it was the gameplay and the encouragement of like the community to play with these games. It's so interesting to me when you look at something like Steam with Valve, like what Valve has done with Workshop, right? That lets like developers and stuff give their communities the tools to play with their games. Right? Like lets the communities mod their games. It expands the life cycle of a game, right? You look at what Valve and Valve is the person that knows this the most, right? Because you got Blue Shift, you have Opposing Force, you have Day of Defeat, you have Team Fortress 2, all of which started out as mods and became full-on games. Hell, even Dota 2 that they own started out as an original mod on another platform. And they took it and made an actual game out of it on Steam. Like you look at that content and you look at the gameplay and the replay value of things. I get it that there's a loop and there's a cycle to some of these games. When you look at something like Squadrons, there's a very simple player loop. You're doing dogfighting or you're doing the fleet battles, which is like the fleet battles are very mirrored, right? You're not going to get anything more really dynamic out of it other than some variations in your map, right? When you look at something like, I used to play the crap out of Day of Defeat Source. I mean, I was part of a clan. We were having a lot of fun, and like I was leveling up through the clan ranks, and I was actually becoming like server admin and all this other stuff. It's a lot of fun, but they encourage these things because you getting more engaged in the community and not just in the game themselves. But the point I was going to make with it is like you look at something like Day of Defeat Source. Some of those maps are like the same maps that you're playing on loop. But what makes it interesting is the gameplay value is you're going after objectives. And so each time you play a round, your strategy in one round might be completely different than a strategy in the next round, which would be completely different than a strategy in the third round. And your match might take, 15 minutes this time, but you'd be playing for 40 minutes trying to capture a point, in the next one. So it's like your gameplay value is drastically changed when you look at the kind of content that you're providing for your players. And and EA, I feel like gets it in one case and then throws it out the window in the next, right? People want a new Star Wars game. Let's do Battlefront again. Battlefront was great. Everybody loved Battlefront, but then they screwed it all up. They made it look pretty, but then they screwed it all up. And then you look at Squadrons for $40, no microtransactions. You get everything. You unlock it all in the game.
There's not much. There's not much to get.
Then what?
There's not
all
much
they
to get.
had to do. They had one job. All you guys had to do was make a reboot of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter Balance of Power, and we'd have been good.
I mean,
we'd have been
at the end of the
fine.
At the end of the day, that is kind of like making it a like light. That's the simple way of saying it. But like this game doesn't even have like custom lobbies. Like I can't just invite 10 of my friends and be like, we're gonna do a tournament today. Okay. So the first tournament actually happened, quote unquote. The first Squadrons tournament actually happened, and
you had an air quote tournament,
right? Air quote tournament with like 50 quotes. Like it is ridiculous.
It has to be like like a giant air quote like you would use in the Macy's parade.
So I
Like
watched
it's
like
a giant balloon.
I watched like 3
Right.
minutes of it and got bored and turned off. So what were the rules? What were the rules?
So whoever won the most rounds of matchmaking was the winner after 3
Wait.
hours.
What? That's what? That's
Yeah, it was like just beat up other players. You might even run into other people that are in the tournament and take screenshots to prove if you won rounds. And then whoever can show as many screenshots of winning rounds as possible, people, the team that had the most wins against whoever wins. And, sponsored by a Razer, right? So it's
God.
dumb. It's colossally dumb. But
Like you can't even match skill. Like you can't even match skill. Like it's so ridiculous.
Right. This highlights failure one of this game. Okay, because what they did, they made a space MOBA that is very much built on Dota. Right. So Dota, you have your ancient, which is basically your base, right? So this is like your mothership in your base. If it dies, you lose, which is your Star Destroyer or your Moncal cruiser. And then you have towers that are in the midfield, which is your frigates here, right? And then, hold on a second. And then whenever you're trying to kill the towers, you have the little guys that come out that are dumb AI dudes that really don't pose any risk to you. They're just there to be farmed, right? And you get money off of them and you get your upgrades and stuff. Well, there is no upgrade tree in this that's in the mission.
Not really.
Right?
Not really.
Well, it's not in mission, because in Dota, it's like you go out there and you make a bunch of money and then you run back to base and you buy some magic trinkets to make your guy tougher. So it's like who can level up their dude faster than the other team. And after you've leveled up to a certain point, then you start actually hunting the other players, right? When you feel that you have a power advantage, because it's so balanced that it would be like a mutual annihilation otherwise, right? So, and there's a strategy called jungling where one of the players will go in the center where there's a bunch of tougher NPC monsters that you kill those, and you're trying to get like XP much faster, right? But the rest of the people on your team have to defend the lanes so that they don't knock your towers down. So the way that it works in squadrons is there's a morale gauge. Okay. And if you kill the AI fighters that are dumb and pose no threat to you, like I've never been killed by one kind of thing. I get killed by the cap ships all the time, but never the fighters. But they're on like a different level, because the AI, when you play like the squadron fleet versus AI and it puts other AI players in there, those guys are bastards. They're quite good AI. So the other ones that just kind of fly around in a lazy circle, they're there just to be farmed, obviously, right? So you get 10 points for killing a player, and you get like 5 points for killing one of those guys, right? But if you're busy killing one of those guys, then there's probably a player sneaking up to kill you while you're not focused on him. So kind of there's a strategy there. But if you can go in and just like farm the weak AI guys, you're pushing the morale bar over to your side. And there's actually a strategy that some teams have gotten good at, where they'll have a guy that's just jungling against the AI dudes and he's good at it, and they can keep the morale bar pegged over to their side so that the other team never gets to counterattack, because this guy is just tearing up the AI fighters so much. Because what'll happen is when the morale bar goes back to the other side, and if you're over there attacking their cap ship, the cap ship is killing you. So that tends to push the morale back the other way, right? So then after enough of, it's like you guys fly over there and we get killed, but we do some damage. And then the balance flips and now they're coming over to our cap ship kind of thing. And it's very much the
Which I'm going to be
formula
honest
of
with you,
MOBA.
I hate that mechanic. I really do not like that mechanic at all.
I do kind of think it's dumb, right? And whenever their ships, when it's not your turn to attack their ships become like 10 times more deadly. Because if you're in their side, it's like a hockey match, right? It's like, oh, if you're on the wrong side of the field, it's like there's no penalty except you die, because they will kill you big time fast, right? But then whenever it is your turn to attack, then it gets a little easier. Plus, it'll spawn a Corvette in, and it goes in as like a big AI ship to just draw fire from the cap ships so that they're not murdering you. And yeah, so there's some strategy there about like, am I attacking the turrets on the ship? Am I trying to defend our Corvette? Am I trying to just kill other players? There's some room to decide how you want to play as a team and different strategies that work, right? So that's interesting. The thing that's not interesting about this, first off, there is one map, which Dota also, there is one map, right? That map has never changed, and it's for what, 15 years that we've had that game? It's the same map. Well, here, it has like a different environment to it, but it's the same layout, right? So there's two cruisers and the cap ship, and then the Corvettes that come in, right? Or two, yeah, frigate, cruiser, whatever they are. But there's basically two towers, a mothership, and 5 versus 5, right? That never changes. And then there's 6 different maps that you're on, which, it's like, oh, is it a nebula? Is it a junkyard? And it's just the debris in the middle that you fly around. Is it asteroids, or is it junk, or what? And people hate Yavin because there's nothing, right? I kind of like that because, it's like you can't hide behind shit. Are you a good pilot at that point? But yeah, it's just like that doesn't change. But they made this game that is very much like a game that is an esport. It's a ladder-based thing. It's about having a team, and then we say, okay, my team is going to fight that team specifically at this time. There is absolutely no way in this game to do that, which is what that tournament proved out. If you had a 5-man team and I got a 5-man team, there's no way that we could say, hey, let's fight each other.
Or like, yeah, let's see who's better, right? Like,
right. It's just absolutely impossible. Now, the cure for that would be, there's a couple of things, right? Like we played Among Us, and in there you get just like a little 5-digit code, and you hand that to the other players, and they use that to join. And then it can be cross-platform. It doesn't matter, because it'll just match-make people based on this code. And that way we don't care. Are you on the Xbox friend list or the PlayStation friend list or the PC? Doesn't matter, because you got the code. So it will drop you in the lobby, right? And you'll be on the right team or whatever, So it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4A, and you end up on team A. 1, 2, 3, 4B, you'll end up on team B. But anybody with 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be in that match, kind of thing. They could have done that, or they could have done it easier, where they said, okay, we allow you to invite 5 friends. Well, let's allow you to invite 10 friends. And then those 10 friends decide, okay, which team am I on? Right? So at that point, I start a lobby. I invite the captain of the other team. He invites his boys, and I invite mine. Everybody's in here. We all get on the team that we're supposed to be on, and we fight. Right? So that would have allowed tournaments to happen. There's multiple ways to skin this cat.
Doesn't HunterNet Starfighter do all that already? Hint,
right.
Does.
Right. So I wanted to bring that up, because it's like, here's a guy who's like an indie studio.
He's one guy. He's
doing this, and on top of all that, when I first jumped into Squadrons, I'm like, okay, these controls are really stiff.
Horrible.
I don't feel like I'm flying anything. Like
They're
it just does not
terrible.
feel natural at all.
They're terrible.
I jumped into HunterNet without ever playing it before. He's like, oh, it's got mouse and keyboard or joystick or however you want to configure it. But like the default like mouse and keyboard controls just right off the bat felt so natural and so comfortable. I was shocked. I just started playing. Like
Agreed.
He was like, look, you can set up your HOTAS if you want. I can show you how to do it. I'm like, I don't need to. Like
I did though.
I mean,
it was the easiest freaking thing in the world. It was the easiest.
I was like, I will eventually, but like I was having so much fun, I didn't want to stop playing. And so, you know, and I hate to make this like a comparison of like, hey, let's compare this to that, but this is again the point I'm trying to make of quality, quantity. What is quality and what is defined as quality? Because if you're looking at graphics as your definer, or like you're in a movie like experience, then you know I really don't want another theme park. I want something that's going to be truly immersive. You know, the thing about TIE Fighter that was truly immersive was all the in-between stuff, right? All of the detailed information, and then you had like the background story, and then you had the whole like side missions thing that you could go and do where you had like the cloaked figure who was working for the Emperor, and like all of these like second and third objectives that you could go and do. And it just really made the world building feel real because you're not having to like be forced to be like, well, not forced, but like, you know, you're standing in a hangar and there's like all these icons and you go talk to these people that have literally nothing to contribute to anything. I don't feel any attachment to these characters. And here's another missed opportunity. I just want to throw this out there. They let you pick your characters to be, you can customize your characters in Squadrons to be any kind of like race or gender you want to be, more or less, right? Voices, any of that stuff. On the Rebel side, the Imperial side, it doesn't matter. But man, when you fly on the Rebel side, you're like one of only 2 humans in your entire squad. How come I couldn't make myself an alien? Like I know this is kind of a stupid, silly thing, but like the Empire is obviously xenophobic, right? Like we know this from the years of reading and watching Star Wars. The Empire is xenophobic. Why on the Rebel side am I like one of 2 human characters that like I have to be human? Like how come I couldn't pick to be like a Wookiee pilot, for fuck's sake? I don't know.
Well, because you have to unlock that as part of
No, you don't. Because it's not even an option. Like you can't even unlock that.
But as you level up as a Rebel pilot, not in the campaign, but in the multiplayer, you can change the pilot's head to be an alien.
Yeah.
You can get those.
It's a goddamn unlock.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Does that make you more
cosmetic
upset,
unlock?
Hunter?
It's a skin unlock, is what it is.
It's not even. Yeah, it's not like you're gonna start talking in that language
It's
or
just,
anything.
it's like instead of a helmet, you unlock a head. That's it.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Ooh, someone asked where they found
anyway.
HunterNet. Ooh, I'll tell you. Anyway.
Yeah. So other things that you can't do in this game. I personally like the controls. I like the flying. We were talking about like you didn't think that you could balance like per pip of energy, but you can. You just have to dive into the advanced controls to do it.
This,
right?
Guys, I'm getting beyond like freaking frustrated at this shit.
What's wrong?
I'm sorry.
What's wrong?
No, like Squadrons, man.
Oh, I thought you were having more audio issues or something.
Well,
so
they just made it.
I left because I had to scream. Like I'm just like,
wow,
dude. I'm
just saying, like,
this is so stupid.
Some of the detail stuff is there, right? But if they had given us a game like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, where there was
hold on. They hide this shit behind the options menu, or they hide this stuff behind like unlocks and all this other nonsense. Like they take the opportunity in the campaign to hold your hand and teach you the controls. No, make those like training missions. Like let me have to go on training missions first to like learn all this stuff. Don't let me like be in the middle of trying to play the story and you have to stop and tell me what button to push. Like
it's so annoying when it does that.
Obnoxious. I'm sorry, Jim. I know you're on
it should have been a simulator mission or something.
this is so,
or like the way Free
more-
Space 2 did it, when you had separate training missions that were very well designed.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, hey, you're going to get new missiles. Here's a training mission around these new missiles.
Yeah,
You
skipped
know.
them every time.
Oh no, I
But anyway,
but you could skip them. That was another nice thing. You didn't have to do them. I
Yes.
mean, I always did them, but
Yes.
you could skip them if you
I mean,
wanted to.
if it was a thing that I needed to know how to do, but it was just like I hated that every time I started a mission, you know, it was like, in this block of instruction, we will learn to turn the ship. It's like, no, skip. I've been here. I've had this rodeo before.
Right, but you see that gives the replay value higher, because let's say if you're starting the game for the first time, you don't skip all those things. You
Yeah.
play the game a second time, you can just skip them all.
Yeah, if you hadn't been a lifer, like playing X-Wing and TIE Fighter and everything else up to the point where 1999 comes around, right? Then I might have wanted to see that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's there and it's separate. They don't interrupt the mission, right? Where they pause the game and put a big tooltip, you know, like in the middle. Because I know if I go back and I play the campaign again, it's going to freeze in the same fucking spot. And
then it takes up
just
half the
break.
screen with like 2 sentences of text.
It's like
hey,
hit this
hey,
button
idiot.
to continue.
Hey, idiot.
Yeah.
Here's how you do
it's
this.
like if I've been through the campaign already, don't ever pop that help shit back up, because I've beat the campaign, bro.
And here's the other thing about the campaign that just drives me bonkers. One, the story is so, like, this isn't to like rag on the characters, but like the story is just so overdone already. I don't care about the Imperial who defected to like the rebellion. I get it. Right? Like the Empire sucks, you know.
It's so
metaphorically
cliched.
speaking.
It's so cliched.
At least it wasn't the main character this time.
Right, but
yes.
even though the character you're playing,
yeah, it's a trope that they just overuse.
Oh my god!
Right, and you're not even playing a character that really makes a difference, in my opinion. Like, I don't feel like the characters that you are really like important.
No, see, this is why I appreciate
or mean anything.
This is why I appreciate games
Brian,
like TIE Fighter and Free Space, because it's like, oh no, we lost Alpha 2. Okay. There'll be another Alpha 2 in the next mission. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, stormtroopers, they're like indispensable.
Red 5 got replaced, so whatever.
Yeah.
True.
Well, so like here's the thing though, like as a story, like if I want to play through a good story, like give me something a little bit more, like let me feel like I'm actually in the story. And this is something that I've talked like ad nauseum about, is like the whole scripting gameplay mechanic that just utterly bugs the crap out of me. And someone tried to explain it to me as, well, if they didn't script it and turn your ship to go look at the cool explosion, you could possibly miss it.
Spent a lot of money on that.
All right, fine. Go watch the movies again if you want to see the cool explosions. I'm here to feel like I'm in the world. Like I'm here to feel like I'm in the universe. I'm here to play this game and play through this campaign. That's just a washed out, dried out, tropey thing that I've already seen a dozen times, and I'm tired of it. And so it's just like,
the other thing is it's on rails. No matter how
the follow me thing killed me.
Yeah, it's on rails. You can't choose the order in which you take on any of the objectives because you're on rails. You have to hit the next scripted point in order to advance the story.
Well,
but the truth is the campaign is the tutorial.
Yeah,
it is.
And I hate that.
But that makes me think of a thing. That makes me think of a thing. In X-Wing and TIE Fighter and all that, they had separate training areas where you'd fly through rings and all that stuff. And they trusted you that you would do that. You know, they trusted that you as even a new pilot or a seasoned pilot, they trusted that you would do that. And then once you got in the game, they didn't have to hold your hand because the game trusted its players. Here, the game assumes you're a freaking idiot from jump. It has to guide you like a baby through everything. And it's almost insulting. It's almost insulting.
someone tried to tell me too that the missions in these older games were like shorter, which is why there was more of them. And I have a hard time accepting
really
that
weren't.
because there were so many.
No.
There were
were
so many times where I'm
not.
just like, I had like 30 objectives I had to do in one damn mission, or it's just like, or I had
What-
these alternate objectives where it was like, go scan this thing if you want to do the
What
side
are they
emperor mission,
talking
right?
about?
And I was
Are they
like, I
talking
never
about,
even got to. The first time I played it, I couldn't even go do the side mission because I was like, I was so focused on doing this other thing that I wasn't good enough yet of a player to like try and go for these secondary objectives or these hidden objectives. Like in this, it's just like take down all the fighters and then take down the 2 cruisers. Okay.
Some
Even
of the
the-
TIE fighter missions were 45 fucking minutes long.
Even
I
the
don't want to hear.
even the console games like Rebel Assault. What was the first mission in Rebel Assault where you're flying through the damn canyons for an hour?
Oh
or
god,
something?
I hated that shit.
I know, I
Yeah.
did too,
Oh my
but that
God.
wasn't
Okay.
short. Like,
Okay,
what
so-
where did they
so
get that
kid-
idea? Oh,
Kids
my God.
today don't understand because
Oh, no.
when I'm playing through the campaign in this game and I die, and then it's like, oh well, we're going back to the last checkpoint. Checkpoint? What the fuck is that?
What's a
No.
checkpoint?
No. Like in TIE Fighter, my ass went back to the medical frigate and I start this mission over from go. And
If you didn't get captured, and had to start
the
everything.
end of your pilot. Because okay, show of hands. Oh, don't bother, because I know you all did it. Who saved their pilot? Right?
Every
You pull that
damn
pilot
time.
file out of there because you're like, you're not
Every-
gonna kill my dude.
Oh my God, every time. Are you kidding me? I would leave the game, copy it to a floppy, and then start the game again.
Yeah, that's right, kids. Because this game was so badass that when you died, it was a 50-50 chance it would delete your fucking save. Oh my God. Checkpoint my ass.
Maybe that should be the theme. Maybe that should be the theme. Kids today. Maybe that should be the
Jesus,
theme of
man.
the show.
Oh,
It's-
God, I'm laughing
It's
so
like-
hard over here. Oh my God.
If Westman had his way, you die and it just formats your hard drive.
Well, no. You could do the Wing Commander route, right? You die and it's just like game over. Like that's it.
You have to start the whole
Dude, I
campaign.
remember-
Oh, God.
Save
So
point.
here's-
What save point?
Right,
Here's
I remember the first
here's
time I
another
played
thing.
through Wing Commander and died, and I was like, game over. I was doing a live stream of it. You can even go ask Joe from Joe? Upper Memory Block. He was watching me. He was watching me do the stream. It was like 8 years ago or whatever. I was doing the stream, first time playing Wing Commander ever, and he was watching me play. And I got to the whole like, he was a good pilot funeral scene. I was like, well, that was a short game, and I was like, next. It's just.
I remember the clip too.
That happened when we were playing Starlancer the other day, I think. Or we played like 2 missions of Starlancer. It's like, you failed everything. Main menu.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Oh no.
see to me there's challenge to that I like, and I understand that they're trying to cater to a more broader audience, and I get it, but like at the end of the day though, if I say that I know that there's things that were made prior to this that were objectively better, that while this is a fun roller coaster ride, at the end of the day, it's a roller coaster ride, and and I'm only going to enjoy that maybe like 10 times, because then the roller coaster ride is just not going to be fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's like half a roller coaster ride, really. It feels like it takes you up to the top of the thing right before you're about to crest over, and then it starts pulling you back to the start.
Right.
And that's what this feels like.
And again, I know that we've been like really crapping on this game. I don't want to say it again. If people like it, fine. Like have fun, enjoy it. I'm glad you did.
I found it to be an experience unlike any other.
Shut for God. Oh, that made me so mad today. That made me so folks, if you haven't seen it, there was a thing on Steam where like the Squadron folks posted a announcement. It was like, critics say it's a game experience unlike any other, and I lost my Shazbot. In
VR, it's probably in VR.
It's probably great in VR.
Quite interesting.
I don't feel the need.
I propose that this game was initially a VR only experience, and they, you know, how
Oh, and then they looked
VR
over at Eve Valkyrie and went,
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Eve Valkyrie was like a lesson. Like, don't make it VR only or you'll die.
Or Bridge Crew.
But yeah, Bridge Crew's not has to be VR, but I find it hugely inconvenient if you're not in VR.
yes, I agree.
So-
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
controls are not optimized for. But you also get the deal with the menu because they expect you to be pointing at buttons with your nose, right? So whenever you're in the hangar or we got to talk to people, whatever, then it's set for the VR menu experience where you use the mouse because you don't have a nose and you have to just point with the mouse. But it works in a really super wonky head movement kind of way, right? Like it's awkward to move because you're not just pointing with the mouse. You have to like look the screen over there, and the acceleration is weird on the mouse and stuff. I didn't like it at all. But other stuff that this game doesn't do. Okay, we got the campaign for what it is. There are 5 ships on your team, right? You're one of 5. When you play multiplayer, you're one of 5. How hard would it be to make a campaign that was co-op and stick it in here, right?
I don't get it why they didn't. I don't get why they didn't.
I totally can't, dude. I
don't
just
understand.
Does not compute.
It's been done before and done well. It's possible.
Well, they'd be like, well,
And-
we couldn't do a campaign because then you know people want to talk to the people in the hangar, and we'd have to do all
No,
that
they'll talk to
voice
their
work and stuff.
They'll talk to their friends.
Yeah, I know. Like for the co-op campaign, don't do any fucking voice work except for maybe ships that talk to you. But go old school. Do a co-op campaign with just a briefing map that everybody looks at. Like this is the mission that we're going to do, and then
I'm actually I'll go back to this and say this.
It wouldn't have cost.
I don't mind the voice dialogue for the mission briefing itself. Like you had the commander guy giving you the A-wing fighter group will be that's fine to me.
Although I found that it was better in the older games because it was more clear because you're actually looking at a map, and here it's just like a picture of a ship.
And that's the thing too. Even up through X-Wing Alliance, they had that. Like, here's what's going to happen. Like these things are going to come in, and this is going to come in behind you, and we're going after X, Y, and Z. This group here is going to go and attack that. This group here is going to go over here and attack this. And then if you complete your objective, then you'll provide support for it's just like, holy crap, I know what I'm doing. Like, here we go. Like, let's go.
Yeah, but you didn't need that kind of briefing. You didn't need that kind of detailed briefing in this because you're going to follow Captain Follow Me.
And then they're going to tell you throughout the mission what you're doing. Like, they're like, come follow me. We'll wait here in the middle of this giant battlefield for you to catch up. God, what? Dude, the first time I saw that, it's in this mission that it's in the next mission that Brian, like right after the one that's on screen right now, where like you're playing the rebellion guys. And so like you're in the X-Wing and you're supposed to go follow the TIE fighter, but he like where I was, he was across the field, and like all of the ships that were with him were just sitting there, and in the midst of all of this laser fire, they were just sitting there until I got close enough for them to start moving again. And I'm just like, man,
God, really?
In X-Wing Alliance, those guys would have hypered out by now, and I'd have to go find the hyperspace beacon and catch up. Because even in X-Wing Alliance, when there was multiple objective points, like multiple spaces that you were hyperspacing to, right? I accidentally like clicked the one that went back to where I came from and got so far behind I had to go play like that. To me is immersion, because Hunter was an idiot pilot and went to the wrong and warp. Like, how crazy is that I hyperspaced to the wrong place? Like, the game gave me the freedom to screw up. And I think there's something to be said about that.
Because it trusted you. It trusted you to make mistakes, but it also trusted you to learn from them. Here, the game doesn't want you to even come close to making a mistake. It's like you're playing in a movie, basically.
You're playing a movie that's a tutorial.
Yeah, enjoy the movie that you're...
It's a theme park.
Enjoy the movie that you're a part of. Now get out.
Right. Go play dogfights. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go play dogfights. Like, I guess.
Okay, so let's say this is a multiplayer game. I want a dogfight against you. Oh,
Yeah.
we can't.
Can you do that? You can't do that in
cannot.
this.
No.
That's
No, you
what he's
can't-
trying to
there-
say.
Yeah, you can't do
there's
that
no
at all.
way.
here.
There's no way, like, we could do a co-op thing of 2 to 5 people, right? But we can't do a versus at all. So there's no way to say, okay, 2-on-2, let's do a fleet battle backed with AI, to fill in, or any of that, right? So we didn't get the co-op campaign. And if they say, well, the production values of adding more campaign would have been prohibited, bullshit. Because you give me the editor, I'll knock you a campaign out, and you don't even need voice actors or nothing.
Well,
You can
what's
use the
interesting
cam
about
shit
this
that's
is
already there.
someone in our community just posted in our squadron's chat room there that if you're in the practice menu or the practice thing and you hit pause, you can spawn stuff in.
Yeah.
What? Why can't you just spawn in whatever kind of scenario you want?
Why
not?
is the pause
Yeah,
shit?
exactly.
Why is
Exactly.
the pause shit, or not the simulator thing where you can spawn stuff in pause is solo only? Okay.
It's solo
Also,
only. Yeah.
Yes. Now,
And
if
then
you
where's
could
the
pull- if you
tension
could
when
go
you-
in the-
Sorry.
if you could go into that shit with a group, you could just keep spawning whatever you wanted to fight, right? It's like, hey, let's practice taking down frigates. Cool, I'll spawn a frigate. Let's kill it.
But
right?
still, you're just
But you
spawning
can't.
things. That just gets boring after a while. It's like, oh, here, I'll spawn some more fighters, I mean,
It
ooh.
does, but
so-
that would be the practice thing for a team. It's like, let's figure out how to kill a frigate.
So to add to that, a way to actually make that balanced within the game's framework is that if you do that within a practice mode with the team, you don't earn any of the glory or the requisition
Exactly.
points.
Yeah.
That would be the way to actually make that work.
I don't
Well,
understand
that's
how this
some-
is like.
Well, see,
dig it.
somebody had said the reason that they specifically didn't have matchmaking team versus team is because you would have people that would go in with just lame accounts, right? Like, oh, we'd have our alt accounts, and then we'd go in and just lose on purpose to the other people to pad their stats. It's like, no. If you do a
What?
team versus team battle, the stats don't count because it's a freaking tournament. It's for, that you just omit that shit. And because they're so worried about like their elo, their rating.
That makes
thing.
no sense. Do you know how many games are out there that have this kind of look at Halo. Like I could go and set up a whole bunch of bot accounts or whatever. Like how many copies of the damn game do I need to buy in order to make that work? Like everybody's going to have to buy a secondary account. It doesn't that excuse. I don't believe that's a real excuse. I don't believe they really would have said that. That sounds like bullshit. I'm sorry, but if they really did say that, I want a refund now. That's obnoxious to think that. How many games do you know that are out there that actually give you stat bonuses for playing in multiplayer, like official ladder matches or official whatever that lets you level up? There's systems in place against that. Like if you get caught doing that, you get your account banned. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
dumb.
I'm getting fired up, but still.
No, it's super
No, it's
dumb,
fine.
right?
It's good.
But
It's
but
good.
every excuse that they've made for why we didn't make a feature, why we didn't do a thing, right? And the community's making the excuses for them because the devs are just silent, right? They ain't said shit. Like I have asked the guy directly on Twitter multiple times, like, is there going to be team versus team matchmaking? Why isn't that there? How are we going to do tournaments? How is ladder play? You guys made
I have such a hard
how is
time.
that not here?
I have such a hard time understanding. Okay, so we've examined this like ridiculous, right? So we've examined this game to the point of going, okay, the campaign is a tutorial on how to play multiplayer. This is a multiplayer focused game. Then why aren't these features that are standard in any multiplayer game not here?
Right. You know who else is giving me the silent treatment? X2, XP gamers, all those guys that were in the tournament, right? Because it's like, well, you guys are organizing the tournament. So I messaged each of them and I'm like, how's this going to work? Have you guys talked to the devs? Like, is there going to be any kind of team matchmaking planned in the future? Did they figure out this is perhaps a terrible oversight? You know, do you have any comment about the absence of this feature? Doesn't this seem dumb? Not a word. So I feel like those guys are on the shill thing at this point.
Probably.
There's a chance of that, because I know that some of those guys are still like going pretty hard about like, here's a good strategy for X, Y, and Z, and I'm just, I'm like, well,
don't care.
At some point,
well, it's content, right? Like they have.
Hold on a second. Hold on. So like at some point, you're gonna play it long enough to where you're gonna unlock all of the unlocks, and then you're gonna get all of the skins, and then once you have all of the skins and all the unlocks, there's nothing to get. Like there's like what accolades for being like really good on a match.
You know what you get? You get hype, Hunter. You got to get hype, because that's all you got at the end of the day. At the end of the day, all I had was hype.
Regarding Jay's point about the people not saying anything about what might be involved with the tournament, that might be because they have signed a piece of paper that prevents them from publicly saying anything.
But it
wasn't run by the developers.
It wasn't run by the developers either. It was
right.
Can they say they signed a piece of paper that says they can't say anything? They can say that at least.
No, because even if they do that, that's basically saying if it's an NDA that they can't talk about the conditions, then even acknowledging that is acknowledging that there is an NDA in place.
Right.
So here's the other thing.
They're like, you're a shill.
Here's the other thing. These guys that got in on this game, like they got in early. They were part of the beta. And my thought is if you guys were in the beta, how come? Like, I want to understand one thing, and maybe they can't talk about it. But during this beta process, did you not mention that this is a glaring oversight? Like all of these guys, and here's like I hate to get on the soapbox and bitch a little bit more, but like all of these guys were getting on the bandwagon of talking about X-Wing Alliance and like playing TIE Fighter again and all this other stuff. Some of these guys had never even played these old games in the first place. Like they were just like getting on the bandwagon because of the hype, whatever. And that just frustrates me so much, because you have all of these people who have little investment. And it feels like, honestly, and I hate to do this, and I know XP Gamers is a little bit of an exception because he really does do this stuff because he's been putting out X-Wing Alliance videos for years. But like, he's known about these things, and even in his review of the game, he talks about like trying to figure out who to like recommend this game to, because he's even talked about coming from previous games, there was more to them. But yet he still enjoys playing the game, and that's fine. I can respect that, because at least he's acknowledging, hey, this is, I'm having fun with this, but there's clearly something that's better, which is all I'm trying to say too. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I'm enjoying what I have with this thing, but there's clearly something that came before that was better.
Well, the thing that they targeted this, it has an audience. It's a very specific audience. It's the competitive esport space gamer, which didn't exist until this. But
yeah, I was about to say,
it's like they're trying to create
stuff.
They're trying to create a thing, right? But then they leave out the one feature that actually would make that possible. The whole matchmaking problem, the lobby problem, the whatever, however you care to define it, the inability for me to fight you on purpose, other than a random act of the matchmaker. Without that, this game just fails. It's like, game, you had one job, but unfortunately you can't do it because you got one arm tied behind your back.
I want to briefly switch gears and kind of like using another example. So we talked about like these games of the past that are still being played today. So I'm going to shift to Starcraft 2. Okay. So Starcraft 2 has been out for a very long time now. I think it's well over 10 years, I think, now at this point. Or maybe it's at 10 years or something like that. No, it's been out for a while. I think it was at 2009, maybe? Or sooner? Anyway, point is, 2010, I think, actually. So it's about 10 years old. That game is still out there and still being played. And as a matter of fact, you can actually get the game for free now, and you can play it. And in in the arcade, people are making custom maps, custom game modes. Like people are building out tower defense games. At one point, someone had built a third-person shooter in StarCraft 2. Someone built like a StarCraft MMORPG in there. Like all kinds of just ridiculous things that people have built out inside of StarCraft 2. A real-time strategy game. A third-person shooter?
Sorry.
Is there beer on the sun?
Sorry.
So when I think about something like that, and I look at like old school Blizzard, and I look at old school Valve and old like all of these big companies that have like made their name off of people taking their games and just tearing them up and having all kinds of fun. To me it just seems so like I understand that there's the argument is that there's these AAA studios that they want to do something that's going to be risk averse, that's going to guarantee an ROI, and it's like but the thing that Jim and I and we've all been kind of talking about ad nauseum is there's just one glaring feature that is money on the table. EA, you like money. I'm talking directly to EA. They're never going to listen to this, but if for some reason that they do, this is literally money on the table. Add in custom lobbies. That's it. Allow me to invite 9 other of my friends, so there's 10 of us, and we can do a custom game mode of, we'll do a couple of dogfights with these maps, we'll do a couple of like fleet battles with these maps. Let us like do a whole custom rotation thing that'll let us play for hours on end and have as much fun as we want.
And if they want the game to still be played actively by a lot of
Did we lose Jim now? Did I lose everybody?
I can go in with like XT editor and I can make a mission that's got 10 players, 5 on each team, and then I can stick AI in there doing whatever I want them to be doing. Then I can make basically what Into the Black / Starfighter Incorporated is talking about wanting to do, right? So I could say, all right, Rebel team, you got to get in there. You have to scan the containers. You have to escort the cargo ship that's going to come in, and it's going to steal the container and get out, right? And you just have to make sure that that thing doesn't die. But before it'll show up, you have to scan the right container. People on the Empire side kill that.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do.
A second, they're back.
Huh?
No, the stream went out for just a second, but it's back.
Okay. You could put opposed mission goals in a PvP mission thing, so it's not completely balanced. Like our team has to kill your flagship and your team has to kill our flagship. No, it could just be defend your damn flagship for 10 minutes while we try to kill it. And if you can keep us from killing it for 10 minutes, you win. Anything like that, right? Like if you gave me a mission editor, I could bring the old TIE Fighter campaign in here and make it 5-man co-op. I could do any goddamn thing I want to do, and this game would still be hotly played in 5 years. But
so I'm going to give them a bit. I'm going to give them one benefit of the doubt, saying that this was a test. So maybe this is like Battlefront. So when they made Battlefront 1, I feel like Battlefront 1 was a test because Battlefront 1 was severely lacking. And then Battlefront 2 came out and it had more stuff going on, but then they had the whole like loot box fiasco and crap that happened there that just utterly, kind of destroyed them for a little while. And then after a period of time, they ended up adding in co-op. But again, this is kind of an EA problem. And here's the other thing that I noticed. So like Motive was the ones that helped make Battlefront 2, right? Along with DICE. And the one glaring problem that they have in that game is there is co-op, right? There is PvE co-op, but it's randomly assigned. So if I go in, I can't create a lobby and be like, all right, I'm just gonna do like me and Jim gonna go do co-op. No, it's gonna be me and Jim, and then it's gonna hot join 2 other randos. It has to be 4 people.
Ah,
No exceptions, no lobbies, no nothing.
no
It's a
bots.
failure to get it from this particular developer.
And I don't understand. I get there. Like, well, we want to like get people playing together, and this is how you build communities. And it's just like I've already got one. I want to play with like them. You know what I mean? It's just like
No, you must play with our people.
it just I just don't get it. So this is why I said, do we really want shiny graphics? Do we really need all of this fluffy, beautiful looking stuff if the gameplay is just going to be so mediocre to blah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather go throw my money and my support behind like Fernando over at HunterNet. Like, good lord, him or any other developer or any other like part of our community that's listening to this podcast right now. I know that we're getting long in the wind here, but like, any other developer that's listening to this right now that's part of our community, I just want you to know that like I think you guys are doing far better jobs at these games than these AAA studios, and I just want you guys to keep it up.
Agreed.
Just keep it up.
Yep. And that's again why I feel like this thing was initially designed to be. Remember whenever they came out with Battlefront 2 on PlayStation, and only on PlayStation they had the PSVR virtual X-Wing mission, right?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
It was a roller coaster ride, and that's all it was. It was one trick pony kind of thing, right? And I feel like this was supposed to be like the rest of that. And then they said, oh, well, hey, we can make this for PC VR as well and broaden our audience. And then they thought, hey, we could just make this not VR. So, but the scope of the project still remained as a, let's make this like an amusement park ride kind of thing, right? Where it is a game, it's $40, and they act like $40 is $20. It's like, well, we made a game that's like half price. It's like, no, you didn't. That's a damn near full price game. But okay. But anyway,
the combat in HunterNet is something else to like make mention of too, because in that you're a freaking Viper pilot. Like, I mean, I am flipping end to end and blacking out, and like it has
G-lock in it. Loss of consciousness from G-forces. If you get so Star Wars, they got that whole side slip deal in where you boost and then you side slip. Cool. Oh, but I blacked out because I'm playing HunterNet.
Right. Or and you can strafe in HunterNet, which is amazing. Like,
but in Squadrons, you can only drift if you have boost, right?
Yeah, it's the boost drift thing.
But you can only boost if you put all your power to engines and build up boost. But you can't bank the boost.
No, you can boost. You can boost at any time.
All right, but I mean, you have to build up.
No, you still have to have power to engines on the Alliance ships. You do have to have power to engines first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to build it up, and that stuff goes away. That stuff goes away when you take power away from engines.
It goes away very slowly, though.
But still, it goes away.
Not near like when you're. Yeah. So here's the deal. I launch in a Y-wing. I launch in a Y-wing, and I know I'm going over there to kill that Star Destroyer. So as soon as I come out of the hangar, I shift all my power over into shields, and I start cruising, and I get about a quarter of the way there. My shields are full. Then I switch it over to boost, and I boost over until I get to about midfield, right? And at that point, I still have like 180% shields. Like, I have not lost very much out of my shields. That drains really slow. But I had to be mindful enough as soon as I launched to charge them up. And then I get midfield. I let my boost charge all the way up. I switch over to full lasers, and I use my boost to carry me in. And I've got my lasers double charging on the way in. I've got double shields mostly. And so I can have almost all three things fully double charged whenever I get to the target. And if you're not doing that, you're going to die. So that's the thing.
That sounds annoying.
Y-Wing Pilots Association, like tricks of the trade.
Yeah, this is never going to get a B-Wing. That makes me doubly sad.
Yeah, it's also. Oh god, but the Y-Wing is slow, man. The B-Wing would be like
But it's such
Yeah,
it's
that's
such a
Mama's Buick.
it's such a thunderbolt. That's why I love it. It's such a beast. That's why I love the damn
Wouldn't
thing.
be in this game though. See, because when you're fighting against other humans, it's very different than
I
against the
know.
AI in the older games. Because they would just be like, "Oh, B-wing," and then you'd have like 5 dudes on it instantly. But anyways,
Yeah,
So with
yeah.
HunterNet though, right? So I have great hopes with HunterNet. I feel that there's a 1-2 punch thing that Fernando needs to do. So this is my personal advice to him. No consultation fee will apply. Just do what I say, we'll be fine. So make the mission editor, right? And then once you have the editor to the point where you can just make any damn test scenarios that you want, then start doing like the opposed PvP stuff. So you'd set a mission up like what I was talking about. You know, it's like this team has to do the thing, that team has to prevent the thing, stuff like that. But when you get the mission editor going, the test mission should be an exact clone of the mission in squadrons. It's a mothership on both sides, 2 frigates in the middle for each team, right? And so that will take the people from squadrons, and you can say, "Oh yeah, you're familiar with squadrons. You think that's cool? Yeah, don't you wish you could team match make, but still play squadrons? Guess what? Look at this. This is the map from squadrons. You play it exactly like squadrons, except it's very different because the flight model and the weapons and everything is way better.
Very different. They already kind of have that. It is a bit different, but they already kind of have something very similar. And he actually just released a trailer, kind of showing off the gameplay of that mode.
Yeah, but I'm saying just kind of as a sick burn to squadrons, he should make an exact clone of the squadrons mission, like asteroid field with a mothership on both sides.
I mean, and it wouldn't be hard for him to do because he's already got a lot of that built in.
Yep.
And it would just be like, let's just drop this in here. The thing that kills me about the whole like fleet battles thing is like the capital ships actually shooting at each other, which they don't until they get like apparently right next to each other or something like that.
Yeah, they gotta get pretty close for that. Which that's a weird thing in the campaign. They taught us in the campaign, hey, the Star Destroyer is launching missiles at the other ship. You must shoot the damn missiles down before your ship gets wrecked, right? But that never happens in this. And man, that would be a thing, right? Like if the 2 cap ships actually start chucking torpedoes at each other, and the team that has an interceptor out there like cleaning up missiles is going to win because they're not letting those missiles hit their ship. Wow, that would have been a thing, but they didn't do it. You know, there's I have noticed the way that the frigates behave, like the initial positioning of the frigates is slightly different in the different maps. And but you never actually get the frigates. Like if the 2 teams never fought each other, and you couldn't do this because there's no way to team matchmake, right? But I would love to see this like a gentleman's agreement. Nobody fight anybody. Just sit here. Let's see if those frigates ever close and start fighting each other or not without the fighters doing anything. Because
so the problem that you're going to run into with that is the third ship. Yeah. The third ship will come into play.
Yeah, the Corvette shows up.
Right. Yeah. So that's gonna
but it's still not gonna kill it, right? But okay, so point being though, is if left totally unmolested, would that battle fight itself? And it should be a mutual annihilation if it's totally balanced, but it should be a thing where the frigates actually close with each other and start duking it out. And then it's not the fighters have to go kill the frigate. It's more like the fighters have to influence that, right? So it's like, I'm going to go in there and kind of nudge this so that my guy wins. And the other guy has to like help his ship while they're trying to hurt my ship and stop me from hurting their ship. And it could get more complicated than what it is, right? And when the Star Destroyer and the Mon Cal cruiser start duking it out too, you know, if you haven't killed, because that doesn't get triggered until the frigates are dead, that should have a potential of this could happen on one of these maps, and the frigates are still around. Like, if you haven't killed their frigates and your frigates are gone, and then it's your Moncal ship versus a Star Destroyer and a frigate, then your Moncal ship's going to go down hard. So there's a reason to kill that frigate other than just permission to go attack their bigger ship, which, you know, but they didn't design it that way. But Fernando could do so. Hint, nudge, wink, do it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Well, if he had the mission editor, he could do so much experimental shit. It's just like, hey, here's 20 different versions of this map. Let's find out which one works the best or whatever, right?
Who knows?
That's why I'm saying instead of hard coding, like here's this particular map mode, and I spent a lot of time making this work. It's like, spend that time to make the mission editor work, and then everybody can make whatever the hell, and we see what happens, right? And it's like, I could set it up AI versus AI, put the AI on like as hard as it'll go, right? And then just let it go at it. Like, hey, run 1,000 iterations of this thing while I sleep, and let's find out, is this map actually balanced or not, and stuff like that. It's doable stuff, right? But I would rather see the dev time in the creation tool rather than I put a lot of dev time into making this one mission that's perfect, and then I didn't. Now we're going to think about the editor. Editor first is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't remember if he's working on one. I'd have to listen.
Oh, he said he's working on an editor, but I just don't know what the priority is versus the baked in missions. Because, it's like you're making your first couple missions, you're going to do them by hand. Or if it's script stuff, you're doing it in Notepad, right? Because it would take way longer to make an editor to make that Notepad file than to just make the Notepad file. But at some point you say, okay, now I'm going to make the editor, because if I have to make more than one mission or two or whatever, let me just, it's like I could put pixels on the screen, or I could write a paint program. At some point, it's more time efficient to write the paint program than to just like hard code the painting, because you can reuse it at that point.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, good bright future for HunterNet if he does it right. I think it's his initial game was kind of like an arena descent kind of thing,
right?
It wasn't like this, but it has evolved into this, and boy, I like this a hell of a lot more.
Oh yeah, I've been screaming from the mountaintops. If you're dissatisfied with Squadrons, go sign up for the closed alpha of HunterNet Starfighter, because damn, like when we played, I'll close with this. When we played multiplayer Squadrons was a week ago, I couldn't wait for it to be done. I couldn't wait. I was so bored. I was like, is this done yet? But we played that playtest of HunterNet, I lost 2 or 3 hours before I even knew it.
So in HunterNet, does it have different ships, or everybody's currently in the same
no, there are different ships.
No, there's different ships, and you can customize your loadout, like your guns. Like you got
in mission, you can do that in mission too. If you land, you could change from a fighter to a bomber.
Yep. And so like your carriers, you can actually go up to your carriers and you can land and get repaired and rearm and go back out. And
dude, it's so good.
Pretty nice.
It's so good. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there, because there's only, we have shat upon Squadrons for the last hour and a quarter. I think that's enough shit. I think we can.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's still game of the year, but that's because there's only been one game all year.
God.
And again, I really can't stress this enough. If you're liking this game, I'm really happy.
That's great. But
it is better than
you'll get no hate from me.
It's definitely better than CQC and Elite, though. I just gotta get. I gotta rub Braven on the cheese grater once.
That's not saying much. Right now there are about I'm sorry. There are about 4,200 people playing this game on Steam, which is not nothing.
Yeah. Now that's interesting because the opening numbers, right, was like 80,000.
30. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Right. And then it was down to like 30,000. And then the next night it was 8,000. And now we're down to like how many now? 4?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see whether it's like in a few more weeks.
Yeah, I give it 60 days tops before you start having matchmaking.
Yeah,
problems.
it's been steadily dropping. It's been steadily dropping. Like yesterday's peak was, I think, 6,000, and then before that it was 7,000.
My advice is, if you paid the money for it, get your money's worth. Play it now. Don't wait, because it won't be there when you get around to it.
Yeah, because they said they're not adding anything else to it. This is it. This is what you get.
That bothers me.
They said never say never, but we don't plan on making this a live service. I'm like, how can you
thank
say
God
that?
not
You
a
have
live
servers.
service. I don't want it to be Destiny.
We have no problems with
Right.
expansion
No,
you got to
packs.
buy the expansion.
Yeah, we got no problems with expansions like the old games. TIE Fighter had 2 expansions. So did X-Wing.
If they just said, "Hey
X-Wing had
guys,
2,
we're going to give you the editor that we use to make the missions.
That'd be
Knock
fine.
yourselves out."
That'd be fine.
Oh my God, that'd be the best.
That'd be a
Plan
very
B
smart move
would
on their
be,
part.
Hey, and if not that, then they would just say, "Hey, we're going to make a co-op campaign for each side, right? Play with
I'd buy
4
that.
friends
Balance
through
of
the
power.
campaign. 10 missions aside, right?" And dude, they could even port the exact balance of power missions over.
Why
because
not?
99% of their audience has never seen that game anyway.
And those are
So-
good missions. They're hard missions,
Yup.
but they're. It's the only other camp. It's the only campaign I haven't finished of the 4 X-Wing games.
So Braben made the best game. These guys tried to make a half-assed thing, and I really hope that Starfighter Inc. / Into the Black, whatever it's called this week, comes back around and like reclaims the throne and just stomps this thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've played Into the Black. Not a fan of what it's doing so far, because
well, it's still
honestly,
so early.
when
It's still so early.
it's super. It is super early, but the way that the ships fly,
Yeah,
it's kind of like playing
flight
Descent.
models.
It's kind of like playing Descent, not X-Wing, and that's not what I want.
Well, and it's not just like playing Descent. Like there's more Newtonian going on with it. A lot more.
Yeah, there is, but it's like we had way more fun fighting in the hallways than we did out in space, though. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and
I'd rather go and play.
A lot of the weapons
Honestly, I'd rather
are
go
auto
play
aim.
Descent.
Yeah, true. Something we ought to look into is in Descent Free Space 2, right?
yeah.
With
There is
the
multiplayer.
community mod stuff.
Yeah,
There is multiplayer, and there's co-op missions for it as well.
But the
So
the
that
networking
could be a
code,
thing.
we've tried this before. The networking code for
I
Free
think that's
Space 2 is janky as hell.
Well, Brian,
wait.
we need to try now. We
have tried. I'm just saying. We tried it a while ago, and then I asked the community what's going on. This is what they told me. The network code is janky as hell, but no one's working on it because no one plays multiplayer. So it's a catch-22.
Well, we haven't tried with our new thing though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, I guess we could.
I mean, we've worked on those other ones and made a whole bunch of those other ones work.
That's true. We did
Right
get
now-
X-Wing versus
right now
TIE
my-
Fighter. And
Right now, my mystery game right now to get working is the Farscape the game. Even though I know it's apparently a crappy game,
I've heard nothing
really
good about
wanna
it.
play it.
I've heard nothing good about it.
no, I actually watched a couple of guys do some like long play reviews of it, and they're like, "This game sucks."
Well,
There's actually
when
one
did
guy
that
who had
come
it 2003-ish, 2002-ish,
Yeah,
somewhere in
yeah,
there.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Well,
I know it's going to
no-
look bad, it's going to play bad, it's going to feel bad, and it's going to smell bad. So, no.
Well, yeah, no,
See,
and apparently
that's
it's also a very short game. But the funny thing is I watched this one guy who's like a huge Farscape fan, and he was like, "This has been my holy grail. I've been trying to like get a hold of this game for like years, and I haven't been able to find a copy." And he's like, "I finally got it, and well, at least now I know I don't have to keep looking."
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh no!
So, but that's the thing. Like the way that we started, right, is like, are good graphics like the important thing? No, I feel that gameplay trumps the graphics because you can make a very pretty yet empty thing, and you'll make money, right? If the deal is to get that first 2 weeks of sales surge and then nobody cares about it afterwards, mission accomplished. They did it. But if you make a game that maybe doesn't have the same graphics, but it's a full game, right? It makes, it gives you satisfaction to play. People
think
will
about it
continue
though,
to play
Jim.
it.
Think about it though, Jim. Like we've talked about it, and I'll use Among Us again as the example. Like that game is pretty because it does look good from like a pixel art perspective, right?
I will say it's usable, right?
Right, but at the same time though,
it's colorful.
But at the same time though, the gameplay is compelling enough to keep you interested, right? You know, and that's the whole point, is because the way the gameplay is built, I keep coming back to it and going like, I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, second half of my point, right, is like graphics don't make the game. Gameplay does. Okay. But whenever you go back and you want to talk about like older games and like, is this game still worth playing? There's some games that have amazing gameplay, but the UI is god awful because it was designed in like a different era, right? And it's just like the usability of the game, even though the content of the game is good, the game might be fugly, right? But that's not what kills it. What kills it for me is actually the usability of it.
Yeah,
I run into a lot of games. I'm just like, oh god, I can't.
Yeah, some of the retro games do have problems with scaling because of the newer screens or newer technology.
I don't mean scaling. I'm talking
no,
heavy,
because
Heavy Gear 2.
Well, the scaling will screw up the UI though, is what I'm trying to say. Like the scaling will screw up the
Have you tried to play Crusader No Remorse lately? Ugh.
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
You want to shoot yourself.
I just.
Why are we using the numpad? This is terrible. This is awful. What the hell? Yeah, maybe have we talked about usability? Maybe that'll be our topic next week if we haven't talked about it already.
I think we did cover it. I think we did, but it's like it's fun to bitch about on some particular games though, because like Heavy Gear, that's the one that gets me, right? Because I spent it was kind of like Dude's Farscape adventure. It was like, I am gonna get this to work because this game was so great. And I fought it. There was like texture problems. There was a deal where the polygons were actually getting rendered inverted. So when you'd look at the outside of a guy, you would see through him because it didn't render. You know, it never thought, you know, in some games where it's like the camera goes inside their head and you just see like the back of their skull or whatever, like the back of the front of their face. Yeah. But it's generally invisible because there's no texture back there. So you're seeing through. So the way that it rendered in Heavy Gear is the side of the mech that was facing me was invisible. And then the back of the mech was actually rendering towards me because those polygons were flipped, and it was just like, wow, that's not playable. So I fought and finally found like some DirectX stuff that fixed that, and it was a thing, right, for like weeks of me beating on this game trying to get it to work. And then I got it to work, and it was just like, oh my god, the keyboard map, holy shit,
terrible. I mean, for 1999, it was what we had, and we played it, and we loved it. But now,
well, it's just nobody had figured out a simple way to do complex things, and I think maybe the console stuff helped us in that because the developers have not had the luxury, because you got 2 sticks and like 8 buttons, and that's all you got. So figure it out.
You know what's a better space combat game than Star Wars Squadrons? The 2003 Battlestar Galactica console game.
That was actually pretty cool.
It came out on the PS2 and the Xbox, and they crammed everything they could onto a controller, like everything. Like, hold it to do this, double tap it to do this, just tap it. It's like, Jesus Christ. But that game is amazing, and I would rather play that today than Star Wars Squadrons.
And you can. It runs actually on the PlayStation 2 emulator. It runs really well.
Oh, that's good to know.
It also has like a texture weird thing, but it's only the engines on the ship. For some reason, the engines of your Viper are freaking weird. But if you can get over that, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate that they're in your face the entire game, though.
It's true.
But yeah, they did a hell of a good. It was basically like,
so good.
let's make a Battlestar Galactica wing commander,
and they nailed it. They really nailed it, and so it's really impressive, and it's just amazing how a 17-year-old game is better in gameplay and whatnot than this pretty yet empty shell of a thing called Squadrons. I mean, I knew when this came up this morning we'd be shitting on Squadrons, excuse my language, crapping on Squadrons the whole time. But if you like Squadrons, again, as Hunter said, great. Enjoy it for as long as you can. You know, great. Enjoy it. We're a bit saltier on it, and probably will remain so until something significant changes, if ever.
I don't dislike what's there. I dislike what's not there. That is a glaring obviousness.
It's so glaring.
It's just like you couldn't have sat in the design meeting and not discussed these things.
It's kind of amazing.
Why didn't they make it?
I tell people it's for people who never played the originals. If you never played the originals, you'll probably like this a lot. But if you played the originals, you'll be like, there's something, I don't know. There's something not here. I don't
Well, if you're casual, right. Like the way that I play it, right? I'll pick it up. I'll play 2, maybe 3 matches. I'm done for the night. I'll go play something else. That's fine, right? But this is a brand new X-Wing / TIE Fighter game that's only been out, less than a week. I shouldn't be to that point with it yet.
Well,
if this was like a real TIE Fighter game, I would be like, leave me alone. I'm TIE Fighter. And
right. Well, I keep telling people it's very telling that the weekend this game came out, people in our community.
Could you imagine? Right. We played Sea of Thieves all weekend long and stuff.
For 8 hours. You guys played Sea of Thieves for 8 hours. This is
more like 10 for the whole weekend.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So for that weekend you played Sea of Thieves for 10 hours. You guys didn't even talk about or touch this.
I mean, I touched it, but like I didn't want to talk about it because there was a disturbance in the force.
So telling. And I think. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, could you imagine just for like a minute if they like literally beat for beat, mission for mission, like mission briefing for mission briefing, remade TIE Fighter as like a complete 100% remaster in whatever engine this is.
Oh,
could you imagine?
I was thinking that. I was thinking that's what they should have done. That's what they should have done.
Because if they could have gotten voice actors to just stand there and like, I don't have to go up and talk to them. I just need my mission briefings to give me those same kind of missions and just a more fleshed out graphical engine. Could you possibly imagine, like, people would lose their ever loving minds over that game?
Yep, I'd buy it. Absolutely, 100%. $30. You give me a TIE Fighter remake, $40 in this engine, you have my money. Sold today.
Dude, I mean, no, not like I'd pay full price game for that. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But they're not going to do that. It's too, I don't know, too easy. Like, all the content's there, you guys. Like, I wonder if they even looked at the old games beyond okay, we got to capture 1 or 2 things from the old game, like the power thing. Okay, we'll do that, and the shield thing, we'll do that, and nothing. Okay, we're done.
Oh, they would tell you that they are the biggest fans of the old games.
Lies.
Yes.
Lies.
Yeah. Well,
lies.
The thing. Yeah.
Lies.
I want to be a fly on the wall in the design meetings when they made the decisions that they did, because it would be very interesting. Not just incredulous, like, oh my God, I can't believe, but I really, there's reasons that what happened. I would just really like to know what they were.
Yeah, like, did they have buckets, like what we can do and what we can't? Like, how did they figure all this out? I don't. It's It's frustrating, y'all. We're very frustrated by this game, by what it could have been, by what it should have been. And yeah,
EA almost did it.
I think that's the most frustrating part. Like you could see what they could have done is within your grasp here. Like you could see it, you could smell it. They're so close, and yet they were like, screw it, F it. Like,
yeah,
make it
so
$4
the best we
game
can do. The best we can do is say, congrats, guys. You almost did it. If you ever do this again, we have a long list.
Yes, we have a list of grievances. We have a list of grievances. Yes.
Yeah, but reasonable shit. Not like people get on Twitter and scream at you because
go play
it
X-Wing
has
versus
to do
TIE
all
Fighter.
the things.
Yeah,
right.
Go play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and come back to us.
I can think of like 5 simple changes. Probably would take a week or two's worth of code to hammer into this thing to make it very different.
If there are any people left working on this, those guys, the people behind this are like silent as hell. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Okay, so they like to do DLC because it gives artists shit to do, right? In between. So what about like the guys that make the levels for this stuff? But they're working on their next game, so the level maker guy really doesn't have anything to do. So sit him in the corner and just say, hey man, just crank out 10 more maps for this
and make it $10.
See, I don't know, man. Like, hold on. I don't know if new maps is what we need though.
No,
like I don't think new maps is gonna make
shit fixed.
It's a band-aid.
So the maps thing isn't gonna make a difference because it's still the same fleet battle game mode. What they need is new game modes like attack defend. Like I have to attack this escort whatever thing, and the other team has to do everything in their power to stop me from achieving my objectives.
Yeah,
like their objective is to stop me. So instead of it being like this balance, like back and forth tug of war fatigue bullshit, and I'm just gonna call a spade there. It's bullshit. Like we need more than that. We really do.
Well, other games for the longest time, like FPSs, right, would be like a territory domination thing, right? Where it's like, hey, there's 3 flags, right? Whoever's holding the flags is racking up points per second or whatever. So, try to own more flags than the other guy. Any freaking thing would work. But personally, yeah, I like the attack defend, the prevent thing, the
capture the astromech droid or something. I don't know.
Yes. Capture the Death Star plans. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Or capture the BB-8. I don't understand. Like I don't care. Like just something.
Or blast Gungans that are strapped to asteroids. That would be good too. But
Blast Gungan is my Star Wars name.
Gungan cannon. Like in Bloody Rally Show, you have the pedestrian cannon. Give me the Gungan cannon.
How come Gungans haven't been seen since episode 3? There's a reason.
There
are no more.
The Great Gungan War slaughtered them out. Their homeworld was bombarded from orbit, just like the Tribbles.
Anakin as Vader went back and was like, I need to take care of this.
Oh, God. I wonder if he did. All right, folks. That's going to do it for us.
On second thought, Blast Gungan is my alternate Red Brown name.
Blast Gungan.
Blast Gungan. Gungan hard cheese. That's my Anyway, on that note, we'll wrap up here, folks. Thank you so much for listening and watching and listening to our poop fest of Star Wars Squadrons. That's basically what this was.
One other thing that this game lacks, right? And it's a lie on the Steam page. They lied because it says that it supports solo play, and the Millennium Falcon isn't even in it. So I don't understand.
Son of a. Anyway, God. Good night, everybody. No, folks, we'll see you next week. I don't know what yet.
I'll be in the sector all week, folks.
Let's just tip your wait staff. And we'll see you next
play
time.
Play him off, Stan. Play him off.
Don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll do something fun. And we'll see you back here on the stream tomorrow at 6 a.m. I don't know what I'm going to play yet. Probably Overcrowd. It's like some kind of commute sim thing. That should be fun.
It's a failure to social distance.
This is an alternate universe that doesn't have COVID. So have a great night, everyone. Thank you for listening. Be safe, be well, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.